Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to take a look at some of the reports coming out about the practical concerns that some businesses have with the new customs controls coming into operation this weekend. A couple of days now. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, from the 1st of January, anyone exporting from the EU to Britain is going to need the full customs paperwork. It will have to be sorted out ahead of time as well, with any import duties paid, no deferring it for half a year, then saying, oh, sorry, I've lost the paperwork, can't do it now. One of the major issues with this is the rules of origin. Our trade with the EU is only tariff-free if the goods are at least 50% made in the UK or the EU, depending on which way round it's going. Like this year, and this worked both ways round as well. This year, if you believed your goods did meet the rules of origin, you just ticked a box that says, yeah, of course it does. Not so much this time. Now you've got to prove it. You know, and it's made doesn't just mean assembled either. It doesn't just mean, okay, yeah, I made it in this factory. Yes, of course it's British. It means constituent parts as well. One big issue here is that some companies produce goods and they really don't know whether it will meet the criteria or not. There's so many components in it. But not only are they going to have to work it out, hopefully they've already done that before now, if they want to avoid tariffs, they'll need to prove it as well. For some goods, that could be a lot of paperwork, like something like a car. Hugely complex task. But even a tin of biscuits could be tricky. And that's for businesses who knew this was coming over a year ago and took the time to prepare. We saw recent surveys from business lobby groups showing that a lot of business owners, particularly small business owners predictably, but even some larger ones, weren't even really aware of the changes to come. It's like, well, I thought Brexit got done. Oh, no, there's more to come. What do you mean more? Anyone caught unawares is going to find that they are not going to be completing orders as promised to their customers on the other side of the Brexit border. It's like, yeah, of course I can fulfil that order for you. I'll be with you next week. 3 months later, oh, yeah, there was a bit of a problem. And this works both ways because the system was only loosely applied by both the UK and the EU. So these customs controls are now being applied in full both ways. Now that's a problem when you consider that not necessarily intuitively, a delay in traffic flow one way across a customs border also causes problems in the other as well. Now what we have here is a new system being applied in both directions at the same time. Fun times. So how much of our trade will be carried out by businesses who have clued themselves up on the procedure? That is one big question, especially as the commodity codes are also changing internationally at the same time. That's the World Trade Organization system, nothing to do with Brexit, but it is happening at the same time. But there's another big source of uncertainty as well. Freight is going to be pre-notified. That means the use of IT systems. Now, there's a whole range of goods that will need that pre-notification putting on what is called the IPA FFS, which I'm guessing is as fun as it sounds. This will include the food imports that we are very dependent upon. And regardless of the content of your consignments, hauliers will need to get an authorization code from the Goods Vehicle Movement Services system for coming from the EU to Britain. But here's the killer. Those who need to use that system haven't been allowed to test it in advance. I spent several videos last year and the year before bemoaning the fact that the government keep talking about these Brexit IT systems but not actually letting the end users try them out. The government have apparently said that it was live proving the system with selected organisations. Here's the thing. Using some end users to develop the system is standard. That's fine, good. But even if the system works perfectly, and I'll come back to that, but even if it's great, if people haven't had a chance to test it out, there's going to be some missteps. So you consider this. Before Brexit, people didn't have to muck about with any of these systems, really. You know, was their job so easy and stress-free that they had their feet up most of the time? No, it was already an onerous and sometimes stressful job. All of these new systems are on top of what they already had to do before Brexit. So even if the process goes smoothly, it would still represent an extra demand on their time. But they are going to be using the system for the first time in many cases when it's actually needed to get goods across the border. The potential for delays is enormous. And sure, just like this year, we may be able to hide those delays in lorry parks or wherever the EU stuffs their lorries. But the consequence is people not getting their deliveries on time. Right now, there are British businesses ordering from the EU expecting certain delivery times. Who knows how accurate those delivery times are going to be now? And if the cargo is fresh food and some is delayed significantly, then it's like it might as well not bother getting here at all, isn't it? Absolutely beggars belief that the government would not even let everyone who needs to use the system test it out ahead of time to minimise the disruption that it will be causing. And that's just the first issue with these IT systems, that no bugger knows how to use it. You then have the second issue. Can it handle the load? What stress testing has taken place to ensure this? And then, because hauliers have been unable to test the system, what happens when they get stuck? Can the call centres cope with the influx of requests for advice? That's the second issue, for which I've seen no answer. Then the third issue. I have to come back to that if the system even works. What if it's not the user-friendly, fully operational system that we would hope for? Now, I remember at previous college, the last college I worked full-time in fact, there was one particular year when I had to do, for the first time, the quals on entry, qualifications on entry for new students. The system was an absolute mess. Nothing user-friendly about it. I had to be shown all these little fizzles. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you put that in. You do this. You do that. By experienced staff to even input standard qualifications. Like everyone had GCSE English of some kind. Was that easy to put in? Was it hell? Can't even tell you how awkward it was when someone gave you an obscure qualification. Took ages. And then you got to grips with it. You learnt the fiddles. You learnt the little wrinkles. And then the next year, you've forgotten it all and had to learn it all again. Well, some of these hauliers may not be making regular trips to Britain. Frankly, I think many of them will be actively trying to avoid doing so. What if it's so user-unfriendly that even once you've got the hang of it for one type of shipment, you're none the wiser when delivering something significantly different? Or if there's like a gap of a few months and you've completely forgotten everything you learned in the first place? And even that is assuming that the system works, but just isn't intuitive. What if it doesn't even work? Like being told that it is being live tested in December, a few days ahead of release, doesn't give you full confidence that it's going to work perfectly. Sure, teething problems happens with all IT systems, but with most IT systems, you bring them in for end users to use before they're absolutely needed, usually alongside an older system. And for small companies who cannot have a dedicated staff to deal with the new nightmare, what then? Only so many hours in the day. There was a report in the Financial Times which quoted a producer of soaps and candles who said they'd tried to use the government website for help, but just kept getting lost in it all. You click on a link and click on a link and then you're nowhere. You know, he said he was confident that his products will meet the rules of origin. You know, he's needed declarations from his suppliers to prove it, but he says he doesn't know what to do with that information, doesn't know where to register it. Small business owners who lack the experience of navigating complex export information will be getting similarly lost. Like there'll be people who've worked in this for years and go, oh, it's easy, just go here. Small business owners don't know that. And most businesses are of this kind, small businesses with a handful of staff run by one manager who owns it and without really the profit margins to take on staff specifically to sort out this new admin, even if the expertise existed in sufficient quantities. So what they're going to need to do is to go with customs agents. But there won't be enough of those to go around either. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. As with the Brexit implementation of 2021, it will be a case of seeing the initial impact, but then seeing how it proceeds over time. Because demand for trade will go up, that'll put more pressure on it. So will we see a corresponding decline of what's going to be billed teething problems or not? We didn't in 2021. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, Please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.